Hello, my name is Katie. Welcome to my channel, Duck Potatoes World. Today I am going to pull out my circular sock machine that I have not knit on in about 3 months and see if I can remember how to make a pair of socks or two. So if you are interested in seeing a Dean & Bean circular sock machine in use, then stay tuned. That's what we're going to do today. So welcome to my office. I do not have my sock machine set up full time, so the first thing we're going to have to do is get Sock-a-Latte out and ready to go. So she does have quite a few pieces that need to be stored when I put her away. Sometimes I can't remember where I put them. It's not this box. It's this box. There we go. Got clamps. I don't actually use any of the original clamps. I bought my own clamps. My lights. I actually bought a second light, so I have two, so one can always be charging while the other is in use. Get that one charging. And today I actually have a 60 needle cylinder in my machine right now, but I'm going to be making men's socks, so I'm going to need to start by switching that out to the 72. Some more clamps. This actually sits up here. So that is all my pieces, all the things that I need. I need this clamp because my C clamps won't fit under this one part of my desk, but I'm able to clamp down 3 of the corners with my metal C clamps. And then I just use the, whatever that other kind of clamp is. It's not a C clamp, but I don't know what it's called. I think of it as a fish clamp, but I know that's not right. So there's that. Here's where I keep my heel forks. Oops. And my weights. Where's my weights? Put on my mast. There we go. Let's see, this is the one I need. This is the one I'm going to remove. I'm going to need my tools, which I keep in here. This is a cool little thing I got. It's actually, I think, for sewing. I got it at Hobby Lobby, but it is excellent for holding my sock machine paraphernalia. So to start by removing this cylinder from here. So I'm going to move the camera a little so you can hopefully see what we're doing a little better. So there's my machine. Turn my light on so I can see. I know that's not helpful for you. I'm sorry about that. But I'm going to go underneath here and unscrew the cylinder. Wow. This one doesn't want to come out. There it goes. I have to be very careful when I am unscrewing this because this gear down here is not attached except for with these screws. So as I remove this last screw, this gear is going to come off too. I don't want it to fall because it would definitely break. I have a hard tile floor under my desk and I have dropped a few things and they always break. So take that off. Then I'm going to lift up some of these needles so they're out of the way and put them in front of the yarn feeder. And then I usually leave my needles in for my 60 and my 72 because those are the ones I use the most. Now, since I have it out and since I haven't used it in a while, I'm going to take this opportunity to go ahead and clean the inside of it. So let's see if we can get you a good shot of the inside of my machine here. There we go. Hopefully that's a pretty good view. I'm going to show you how I clean my machine. I don't do this every time, but if I haven't used it in a while and I don't remember when I cleaned it last, I will use a disinfecting wipe just to clean any old crud. And you can see that gray crud coming right off there. Old grease and fiber. Get that nice and cleaned off. I loosen my little, I think, tension markers here while I do this so I can get nice and up under all the pieces. I can still see fuzz. Let me get that out. There we go. Then I let that dry. Oop, I missed a little bit there. See if I can get it out with my finger. There we go. All right, then I'll let that dry. And then I'm gonna lube it with a plastic safe lubricant. I have a couple. I have a spray version that I use, but today I'm going to actually use my ceramic grease. And a paintbrush. And I'm just going to apply a little grease to my brush and paint it on all the surfaces that metal get on or rub against. Get up under here really well. You really don't need a whole lot. A little goes a long way, but I tend to over grease it, and that's a bad habit of mine. Okay, so I have my 72 cylinder. I'm going to open it out of the bubble wrap. I put all of my things in bubble wrap just because I had the bubble wrap and I wanted to keep it safe. And you can see I've already got my needles in this one. So I'm going to lift some and I just kind of dance it into the right spot. Dance it in. Let's try that again. There we go. Make sure none of my needles are stuck. There we go. So once it's in, I just have to screw the gear back on from below. I'm going to line up this X with this X. I don't tighten them all the way at first. I kind of put them in loosely, and then once I have all three in, I'll go back and tighten them. Be careful, it sounds like I'm stripping that one. Well, that wasn't working. There we go. All right, and then once I have them all in, I go back and make sure they're all tight. And now I am set up and ready on my machine. All right, so I need a couple more things. I already got my weights. I already have my heel forks. I've got my setup bonnet. I can put away my screwdriver. I need my pick and loom and latch hook tools. I will need some ravel cord. I haven't actually decided if I'm going to do these toe up or cuff down. I think I'm going to do them toe up, so I want my 2 bits of ravel cord, but I'll grab a single piece just in case. I need my ring clamp. I don't know what this is called, but you use it to lift and lower needles. My weights. My snips. Let's see if there's anything else I need out of here. Got extra needles, which I don't need. I don't think I need anything else out of here. So we can put that away. I will need some waste yarn. I am going to be using Hot Springs Fiber Company Seriously Sock Yarn. This is the Brackish colorway from the Sock Club from a couple of months ago. And it has a contrasting yarn with it. So that's what I'm going to be working with today. And I'll get set up and we'll get started. Okay, so I think I am going to go ahead and knit these toe up, and I'm going to do the toe and the cuff in the contrast color. One more thing I didn't grab that I want to get is my sock ruler. That will help me determine the size of my sock. So I use this. It is a thread holder for a sewing machine, but I like to have a weighted base, and I like the extra tension that I get. So this is how I thread my machine. Even though I always go under my heel break, even if I don't think I'll use it. Now I probably will use it, but that's how I thread my machine. Now of course I need to begin with waste yarn, so I'm going to thread my waste yarn first. But I wanted to show you how to thread them, how I thread my machine, since I'm going to switch the camera angle so that you can see how I load my setup bonnet and get everything ready. Oop, don't catch your heel spring in it. Well, so there. So that's how I load my main. This is what I just do for my waste yarn that I'm going to use to get started, and then I will switch the camera angle and meet you back. Okay, that is probably the best shot we're going to get of the inside of my canister. We're going to begin by hanging my setup bonnet. So this little black mark is 12 o'clock. I'm sorry, is the starting mark. 12 o'clock on my machine is right up here. So this is about 6 o'clock down here. 3, 6, 9 o'clock, just to kind of orient you, because it's a weird camera angle. And I'm going to start by putting my bonnet on every other needle. Make sure they're all down here. Sorry, I know you can't really, my hands are in the way. A lot of people like to sit at 6 o'clock when they work. I sit at 3 o'clock when I work. Part of that's just because of how my desk is oriented and where my machine will clamp best. And since it's what I've always done, it's also what I'm now used to. I'm bringing my starting mark right up to my yarn feeder. Bring my yarn in. We're going right on top of that black starting mark. Here's my weight. The weight is going to hold down this, and I also need to put in a sock weight, one of my soft weights. So I am going to want a lot of weight, so I'm actually going to use both my medium and my large. So I might have to just tuck that underneath so there's room. All right, and I'm going to just crank. And when I get a little ways, I'm going to finish picking up the rest of these. Now that I have the weights in, it's going to be a lot easier to do with my tool and my fingers. Making sure all of my needles are open. Oop. And you can see here I've missed a couple. It's no big deal. I'll get my hook tool and we'll be able to fix that easy peasy. Somewhere I've made a mistake in my latching because I have two rings down here and I shouldn't, so I'll just need to watch for that. I may need to fix another spot somewhere. Actually, I can see it right here is where I missed it. It will probably fix itself actually as we go around there. There's a spot here too where it didn't catch quite right. So the first row is not a big deal. This is just the waste yarn. You can see it's fixing itself. Not here though, so I'll need to fix this one. Fix it like a dropped stitch. Pick up. So just treat it like a dropped stitch and pick up. Oops. I'll try that again. I'm not really worried about how correct it is because this is just my waste yarn. All I really need right now is to make sure I have a stitch on every needle and not one stitch on two needles like I have where I misaligned my my rings. There we go. Now you can see I have a stitch on every needle. Sometimes my weights hit the edge of my table, so I need to make sure that they're hanging well. And I'm going to watch for the end of my waste yarn because I don't want to run out. And I'm almost there, so I'm actually going to go ahead and begin with my ravel cord here. So I'm going to take my waste yarn, tuck it into my cylinder. Now since I'm doing toe up, I need my ravel cord that's cut into two. There it is. Or I can just use two long, like full length ones that I have cut. It doesn't matter, but these are already cut in half. I'm going to need 2 pieces of ravel cord. That's the important takeaway here. Because this is a 72 stitch cylinder, I don't want to leave a whole lot of tail because I will run out of ravel cord. So I will make it very small. Make sure it catches my ravel cord. And I'm only going to go halfway. And then I'm going to do my other ravel cord. Okay, so you can see I haven't gone very far at all because I need to raise the back half of these. And that's where this little moon tool comes in handy. Let's see if I can get it in the screen here. There it is. And you're just gonna lift. Lifting these needles out of work. I missed one, get that one. And then I can continue. And then I add that to my clip. Oops, sorry. Bumped the camera. All right. Nope, I don't have. I'm gonna make sure you have your ends all clipped in good. All right, so now I need to string my project yarn. I already showed you how I run it through at the other camera angle. I may bump the camera. I apologize in advance if I do. But I get it all strung through. And I'm just going to lay it over and clamp it with everything else here. So this little weight now has both ends of the ravel cord, my waste yarn, and my project yarn. All snug together. Or at least it will if I ever get it on here right. All right, and now I'm ready to crank my toe. I'm still not sure that that's got everything good. Sorry. There we go. I don't put my heel spring on yet. I do want to make sure all my needles are all the way up. I didn't knock any down. I just kind of hold it gently. And I watch and make sure everything catches. Now this is a toe, so I'm going to wrap and go ahead and engage my heel spring. Sometimes with a toe I won't even do my heel spring yet because you want it loose enough to stretch. But for now I think we're good. Make sure that first one catches. Gonna wrap this one. All right, and now from here, I'm going to lift the last worked needle and go back, but I also need to put in my heel forks. So these are gonna go, I'm gonna put one heel fork in about here. I'll put one in about here and one in about here. I have to go up and under my machine. You should be able to see, I usually start with my middle one. It's not quite where I want it to go. Try that again. See the heel fork coming out there. Keep it pulled down. Now the other side. And one more. I will have to stop and move these pretty frequently while I do the toe. So knit one, row, lift, knit a row, lift. Making sure they catch. See, that one didn't catch, which is usually a sign I need to move my heel forks. I'm going to go ahead and move up my forks. I can already tell it's time to raise my weights again because my stitches are riding up on my needles. My goal is to get 2 pair of socks knit today. We'll see if that happens. 1 pair would be pretty good, but I'm hoping to get 2. If you're wondering how long I'm going to do this, you can see there's little red target marks on my cylinder here and here. And I'm going to do this until I reach those target marks. Okay, so here I am. I have one needle to lift before each target mark still, so I'm going to lift this one. Bring it around, and now I'm going to lift this one, but I'm also going to drop two on this side. So same thing, I'm going to lift one, push down two. Lift one, down two. Lift one, down two. Make sure your yarn stays down. I may need to move my heel forks again pretty soon. Lift one, down two. 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 Alright, you can see I have actually gotten to my little blue halfway mark, but I'm actually going to keep going because we're going to wind up going one needle past both the start and the halfway mark. I'm going to watch my yarn. It's kind of riding up a little bit. I don't want it to do that. I'll get my fork in there. So lift one, and I'm pushing down two. I'm lifting the one right beside my main mark, and I'm pushing down two, one on either side of the halfway mark. And I'm lifting one, pushing down two. This is going to be my last toe row. Make sure my heel forks are in really good. And this time I'm not going to crank all the way around. I'm just going to go just a little bit. And then I'm going to stop. And I can remove now. I could remove these. I actually usually leave them on and just pull everything out of the cylinder. This one I left a little bit kind of short, so be very careful with that. I should have left that tail a little longer. I'm going to go ahead and take off my heel forks. Shouldn't need those. And there it is. I also need to take out my soft weights. Now what I'm going to be doing here is stretching this toe across. And my toe is kind of tight, actually. This might all be a bust, but we'll try it and see. I might have made it just a little too tight. Definitely gonna be close. It's really easy to see my stitches because I used really nice contrasting yarn. It's very important that your waste yarn is very different from your project yarn. I don't know if we're gonna make it. We're gonna be really, really pushing it. It's just a little too tight. Make sure I don't miss any. That's why I always start on the outside and work my way in. have 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've missed one somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So go back and look and see. I actually it's over here. I doubled up over here on the first one. Whoops. Go back and fix it. It's easy. You just don't want to have any needles that don't have a stitch caught on. That would be bad. Got this one on the wrong needle. It should have been on this needle. There we go. Is that right? I'll make sure that's right. Ah, cool. Make sure I didn't miss a stitch at the beginning. Look at that, I did miss a stitch at the beginning. Here we go. So, 1. Now we should be good. Yeah, this toe may just be too tight. I don't know if I can do it. Well, this toe just might have to be reknit. I don't know if I can get it to go. So I'll tell you, if your toe is this tight, you probably should just start over. But you know, I'm being stubborn and I'm trying really hard to see if I can make this one work. But that's probably not the best idea. I probably should have just reknit the toe. I mean, it doesn't take that long. I'm just being stubborn. Probably could have reknit the whole thing by now. Well, I have the right number of stitches left. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to get them on the needles. It is really tight. But boy howdy, am I giving it a good try. Oh, y'all, I might make it. Look at that. Oh, I made it. So this is really tight. So I'm going to have to be really careful when I come around. At this point, I am going to remove the ravel cord. Very carefully, because I don't want to pop off any of those super tight blue stitches that I just worked so hard to get on there. Very, very carefully. I do the top ravel cord first. Well, there it goes. Now, if you don't make your toe so tight, this won't be nearly so difficult, just so you know. My toe is, you can see the stress on those stitches. It's definitely too tight, but we're going with it. Then you remove the bottom ravel cord. Once the ravel cord's off, the only stitches on the needles should be project stitches, which in my case are blue. Sometimes I can pull the bottom off in one pull, and sometimes I can't. It's so tight right now. I'm sure that's most of the problem. There we go. All right, so I'm going to make sure all of my needles are open. I can take my setup bonnet off. And I am going to very slowly, and keeping lots of pressure down, bring my main mark back to the beginning. And I want to knit this tail into this toe, so I want to bring it up here. And at this point, I'm also going to need to turn on my row counter for my foot rows, keeping lots of pressure. These first couple of rounds are going to be very tricky because my toe is so tight. To keep everything. So I'll probably do 3 or 4 rounds in my toe color before I go ahead and switch to my foot color. Keeping the pressure on with my fingers because it's still very tight until it loosens up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and do one more toe round, so 3 toe rounds. And at this point, I need to start making some notes so that I don't forget when I go to do the second sock what I'm doing. So, 3 rounds in the toe color. Alright, so I've done 3 rounds and I'm ready to snip it and switch to my main color. And I'm going to set up my main color exactly the same way that I set up my contrast color in my rig, because I will not be doing a contrast for the heel. The heel will be the same color as the rest of the sock. So I do need my heel spring and all of that. I think I'm going to keep using my hands for another couple of rounds till I have a decent pocket to stick my weights in. Especially since I'm using 2 weights, I'm going to need some space. Another option, actually, maybe I'll get this out and use it. That might be a good idea. I have I gotta change the battery. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back with a fresh battery. So what I was about to do was, I think instead of putting my weights over my toe, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my weight fork. I can't think of what it's called right now. But it looks like this. It is a bag with my weights in it, and it has this metal V-hook. Oh, V-hook, that's what it's called. V-hook on the end. And I'm going to put the V-hook up in through the bottom of the sock and onto this to distribute even weight. And hang it that way. So I'm going to bring, it's kind of a heavy weight, so I'm going to bring it up into the middle of the sock, and I slide my hooks in to the stitches. My hooks on here. This is the trickiest part about it, is getting your hook in. Once it's in, I put my ring. Oh, I got mine too close together. Let's take them out and try that again. A little further apart. There we go. My ring on. And there you can see that has a nice even pull on all my stitches, and it will keep this little tail, keep that out of the way too. All right, I should be good to go from here. So I still want to watch as you come around, make sure everything's catching. And the one spots that I always have trouble with are right here where the toe decreases are located. But as we go, we can move this up a little if we need to, or we can, after we get deep enough, we can put the weights back inside the toe. Just these sides. I have knit about 41 rows. I did not do a gauge swatch because I'm going to use my sock ruler, but I do need to check and see where we're at. So I'm going to take my weight off, take my ring out. I should have gone a little further. I usually like to bring it all the way around to the main mark. So there we go, main mark. There's my toe, and I'm going to put my sock ruler in. I'm going to be knitting a men's 13, so I still have quite a ways to go. I could probably knit another 40 rows. So now that my sock is deeper, I'm not going to use my V-hook. I'm just going to put my weights down into the bottom of the toe. Just drop them in. There we go. Continue on my way. Now, since this is the first sock, I'm going to probably be taking my weights out and checking the foot length pretty frequently because I don't want to go past the size that I need. And I'm probably not in any danger of doing that, but I have to check or else I worry. Oh, I still have quite a ways to go. Alright, so I'm at 80. I'm going to check my foot length again. I'm aiming for a men's 13 here. So I'm getting closer. I'm about a men's 10. Oops, sorry. I'm going to bump the camera. So I'm probably only going to do about 10 rows and then I'll check again. So that's 90 rows. Let's see what that is. Oh, that's probably right where I want to be. That's about 13. So I am going to stop here with, make a note of my foot rows. They were 90. Actually, I think I'm going to make 2 more rows, make a 92. Because he's really like a 13 and a half, and I want to go just a hair. Just a hair past 13. Also, because I did knit these pretty tight, I want him to have plenty of room. There we go. I think that's good. Put my weights back in. It's time to do the heel. So I am going to lift all of the needles between my main and halfway mark out of work, and I'm going to be working the heel on this half of the sock. And I can turn my row counter off at this point. I do not need it. Now all I'm going to do is lift one. I'm not going to put my heel spring on just yet. Lift one. Go ahead and put my heel spring on now. Lift one and go ahead and put my heel forks on. Got my heel forks on, and I'm going to just keep doing lifting one and turning it. Oop. Watching carefully to make sure my first stitch catches. And moving my heel forks up as needed. Similar to the toe, I am aiming for those red target marks. The heel is a little different from the toe, but not much. I can knit a contrast heel on my machine, but I don't really like doing it. Usually if I want a contrast heel, I will just knit a tube and put the heel in by hand. Which is why today I'm getting a contrast toe and not a heel. So there's my last lifted marker, or excuse me, needle before my target marker. Go ahead and move my on both sides. So I have fully lifted all the way to both targets. Okay, now I'm going to drop 2 needles and wrap the yarn behind. This is how it's a little different from the toe. Drop 2, wrap them. And then from here, I'm just going to drop 1 and wrap them all the way back to my target, or to my main and my halfway marks. Looks like I need to adjust my heel forks because my needles, my stitches are riding kind of high there. Probably just this one in the middle. So drop and wrap. Drop and wrap. Alright, I'm coming up on my main mark here and my halfway mark here shortly. Alright, so here's my last needle before my main mark. I'm going to drop it, and this time I'm going to wrap not just that dropped needle but also the raised needle next to it. So I'm actually wrapping 2 needles. And I'm going to do the same thing with the last drop needle before my main mark. Alright, and then here I have completed the heel. I'm going to put all my needles back into work. Take my heel forks out. And move my weights up. So this is where I need my C-clip, this little thing here. I'm going to put it on my sock, and I'm going to stuff all that extra heel fabric down into the ring, hopefully. That's the plan anyway. There we go. So raise it up, and I just stuff all that little extra heel fabric. Smush it down, bring it tight. Just like before, I'm going to probably do the first 2 rounds using my hand as a weight to give me some depth. I could put my ring weight back in, but sometimes it pushes down the C-clamp. It's not my favorite way to do it. So I've turned on my row counter so we can count my leg rows now. And I'm just going to walk through here a couple of times with my hand. Oop, you can see I missed a few stitches there. I didn't have my hand in a good spot. I'll fix those when it comes back around. So very easy to fix these missed stitches. No big deal. Just pulling forward and lifting the stitch on the needle up and over and catching that unworked yarn in the process. See if I can kind of pull it forward. Hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing. If you need like full tutorial quality videos, Dean and Bean has all of this on their YouTube channel. So this is not meant to really teach you, more just to show you. All right, so I've done 3. I left my heel spring on for those 3 rounds. Now I'm going to take my heel spring off and put my weights back in. Hopefully I can get them in. I might have to do my V-hook. The only downside, I find that my weights just aren't quite heavy enough. I keep thinking I'll make some more of my own that are a little heavier, but I haven't yet. I don't usually make really long legs for my husband. He doesn't really like them real tall. So I'll probably do, I don't know, we'll start with maybe 40 rows and see. We'll measure and see how much that is. They're staying on top of each other pretty well. Not catching on my table. That looks like it is. I think I'm going to go ahead and go to 50. I'm at 50. That should be plenty long for the leg. At this point, I'm going to put some waist yarn in and then take this off because I'm going to knit a ribbed cuff by hand for this sock. I have a ribber. The ribber and I are not friends. So, yeah, we're just not. So, what that means is I am just going to do waist yarn, take this off, and I'm not going to do a ribbed cuff, or I could do a fold over cuff, but I like ribbed ones better. I think he does too. So I'm just gonna tuck that inside here. Get some waist yarn. There we go. Okay, couldn't find my little weight there. Here it is. And I'm just going to knit like 10 or so rounds of waist yarn. Now when I go to knit this cuff, it's going to be going, the knitting will be in the wrong direction. So I can either make a short row and just turn it around, or I can knit it wrong side out, which is probably what I'll do. If I had thought about it, I could have started the whole thing in reverse, but I didn't. Oops. Don't want that. There we go. All right, and that is the first sock that I plan to do today. Sock 2.
a time lapse?
I don't know what. No, I'm just recording. It actually uses less memory just to record it and speed it up later. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. Half the time I film stuff with this and don't use it because it just doesn't come out right. But I haven't put anything up on this channel for Sock Machine in a while, so I needed to do something.
You do something.
And since I was making socks today, I figured I'll just see what we get if I turn the camera on. Afraid that this toe will work, because if it doesn't, I'm gonna have to loosen the tension, which is gonna change the second sock, and I don't want to do that. I don't think I'm very crazy about that pumpkin Cheerios. I just like regular Cheerios. Probably not. I just tried it for the first time today. I hadn't even had it before. That's what I wound up eating for lunch. They weren't bad. I mean, I ate them. I just like regular ones better. case you were wondering, I still love my sock machine.
There is no question in my mind.
Okay. Just to make sure we were clear on that. It's the primary way I ever intend to make these socks. And
Once
even
you started making them with it, you never want to go back?
No. I don't even hardly make hand-knit ones for myself anymore unless I have a reason. I like them, and they're fast, and
they're more even.
yeah, not that much.
Yeah, not that much.
I mean, I'm not a machine. I'm not a machine, so obviously my hand knitting's not perfect, but
Right.
it's not bad. It's just a lot faster this way.
This is not for you. Go lay down. Whatever you need from me. Going, you two. Go lay down. It's not time yet.
I don't think they believe you.
No.
wonderful comb. This is the one that tried to kill me.
Actually, if you really want to get serious, that's a tiny bell pepper.
That is a tiny bell pepper.
Hey, Judah? Judah!
Always good to move up the heel horse ready to 10 to 15. Now we're going to push down the first two heels. That's the colorway of a dog ear. We're going to push them down, but remember, make sure the latches are open. If they're not all the way down, see these are all the way down, they're just a little bit down, so the latches are open. And then I wrap the yarn back behind those two heels. Bring it back around.
Like a little taller.